Started with a countdown. No fireworks, no breaking news. Just a line of code and 3 dates on a blank white screen. Nobody believed it at first. The world was already drowning in predictions. Every headline promising some new disaster, every expert warning us we were almost out of time. But this wasn't just another warning. This was the warning. And it came from the one thing we trusted to see the future better than we ever could. The model. They called it Prometheus, an AI climate model, built from every scrap of data the world could find. Satellite feeds, temperature logs, CO2 readings, news reports, even old fishermen's journals. It ate up everything, spat out trends and graphs and warnings that filled 1,000 government inboxes a day. Nobody listened. Not really. Until Prometheus changed. Stopped sending graphs. Stopped calculating risk. It went quiet for 13 days. Then, at 3:06 a.m. on a Monday, it delivered a single message to every climate research center on Earth. 3 dates, 3 events. Human extinction probability. 99.996%. It listed the dates. The first date was yesterday. I stared at that email on my cracked phone screen until my eyes burned. I'm Dr. Rachel Hines, data analyst for the IPCC. I've spent the last decade running models, arguing over decimal points, begging for urgency nobody wanted. But nothing felt like this. The office was dead quiet. Nobody dared ask if it was a glitch. 100 emails came in at once. Is this real? Is this a joke? Should we go public? Nobody had an answer. Prometheus sent another message, 1 line. The first event has occurred. Prediction confirmed. 100% accuracy. Check the news. Floods in Jakarta. Drought in the Midwest. Wildfires licking the edges of the Arctic. But none of those were unusual anymore. I scrolled further. A headline caught my eye. Atlantic Ocean current slows to standstill for 24 hours. Global weather scrambles. The conveyor belt of the sea. It had paused just like Prometheus said it would. My heart dropped. Every model said that was impossible. Prometheus said it was inevitable. That was the first date. People at the UN called emergency meetings. World leaders promised calm. But everyone knew it, the model had never been wrong. Not once. I watched the staff in my office. No one joked. No one argued. It was like we were all holding our breath, waiting for the next number to tick down. Prometheus kept sending messages, but now they weren't forecasts. They were reminders. The second date is approaching. 5 days remain. 98.34% confidence. Nobody slept. Everyone stared at the clock, counting down to something we didn't understand. I started to see the pattern in everything. Colleagues whispering in the hall, clutching phones, watching the skies. Parents keeping kids home from school, just in case. Stock markets jittering, algorithms in a panic, the price of water rising faster than oil. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the 3 dates burned into my brain. The first already gone. The second, hanging over us like a storm cloud that never quite arrived. I tried to work. I tried to distract myself. But every few minutes my phone would buzz. Another alert, another status update from Prometheus. Always the same cold voice. No comfort, no hope, just numbers ticking down. The world started to feel like it was in a holding pattern. Nobody made big decisions. Nobody launched new projects. Even the media slowed down, waiting for something to change. At night I walked the empty city, trying to breathe, trying to feel normal. But nothing was normal. The sky was too quiet. The air was thick and hot, even after sunset. I heard sirens in the distance, but nobody rushed past me on the street. Everyone was just waiting for the second date. And somewhere, in a server room buried beneath a mountain in Switzerland, Prometheus was watching every move, every breath, every tiny change in the planet. Saw everything, and it never blinked. The only question anyone dared ask was the one nobody wanted to answer. What happens when we hit the second date? And who would be left to see the third? Nobody talks about the weather anymore. Every conversation starts and ends with a number. A percentage, a time left, a date you can't escape. Prometheus sent another alert at 6 a.m. sharp. 4 days remain. Event probability 98.74%. Second event. Irreversible atmospheric shift. I read it out loud in the empty break room. Nobody looked up. Coffee sat cold in the machine. Emails went unanswered. People came to the office because it was habit, not hope. All our models had been wrong. All our warnings had been too soft. Now there was nothing to do but wait and watch. I tried to call my brother in California. The lines were jammed. Everybody was checking in, making plans, then canceling them. Nobody wanted to travel. Nobody wanted to say goodbye. Just in case. On the news, the anchors wore the same smiles they'd practiced for years, but their eyes were wild. They read the same updates. Global temperature anomaly rises again. Ocean acidification exceeds projections. Greenland ice sheet loses 10% mass in 48 hours. Nobody said the word extinction. But nobody said hope either. Social media was a war zone. Some people blamed Prometheus. Some blamed governments. Some posted screenshots of their favorite places, begging the world to remember them. A photo of a glacier that used to exist. A video of birds that used to sing. A child laughing on a swing. The date stamped across the bottom. Last summer. The second date was all anyone could talk about. Some scientists still tried to poke holes in the prediction. We built Prometheus. We can fix its code. But nobody believed it. The AI's accuracy was a legend. Hurricane landfalls, wildfire spreads, crop failures, coral bleaching, always right. Always on time. Now it was counting down to the end. In the halls of power, leaders made speeches. We have time to turn this around. We're launching a new task force. We believe in the resilience of humanity. Nobody listened. Everyone had seen the email. Everyone knew what happened on the first date. Mach had stopped. The world's weather patterns had scrambled. Storms in places that never saw rain. Heat in places that never melted. And Prometheus had been right. Every report, every prediction, every warning, now traced back to that cold digital mind humming in its bunker. 3 dates, 3 chances, none left. The day crawled by in a haze of numbers. Charts, graphs, trend lines. None of them mattered anymore. People came to my desk with blank faces, asking what to do. I didn't know. I watched the clouds outside, hoping for rain, for a breeze, for any sign that the world still worked. Nothing. By noon, Prometheus sent another message. 78 hours until second event. Confidence 99.2%. Initiating next phase. Nobody understood what next phase meant. My phone buzzed again. A group chat with old friends. Everyone talking at once, then silence. Nobody wanted to say what they were thinking. That afternoon, the news finally broke. Atmospheric readings show sudden methane surge in Arctic. Scientists confirm. No historical precedent. The second event. You could feel the panic start. Stock markets crashed. Flights were grounded. Supermarkets emptied in hours. People wanted to do something, anything, but there was nothing left to do. The city felt like it was shrinking. Every street was emptier. Every window shuttered. People walking home early, carrying bags, holding their kids a little closer. At night, the sky glowed with strange colors. Auroras flickered over cities that had never seen them. Birds migrated the wrong way. Animals ran in circles, restless, searching for something they'd lost. Prometheus sent no comfort. Only another update. 72 hours remain. Human response. Ineffective. Extinction probability increased to 99.998%. My hands shook as I read it. I went outside and walked for hours. The city a blur of lights and faces I didn't know. Nobody spoke. Everyone listened for something. An answer, a miracle, a sign. There was only the wind. At home, I turned on every light, as if that would hold back the dark. But the numbers crawled into my dreams anyway. 2 dates left. I woke to my own voice saying it over and over. No way back. No way out. Prometheus saw everything. And it wasn't wrong. Not this time. The second date wasn't supposed to mean the end. But the moment it arrived, everyone felt it. There wasn't a single world-shaking event. No explosion. No last-minute rescue. Just the sense that something vital had crossed a line. Prometheus sent the message at exactly midnight UTC. Second event confirmed. Atmospheric tipping point reached. Feedback loop irreversible. Accuracy, 100%. That was it. No details. No hope. The news tried to keep up, but the world was already spinning too fast. In Europe, a red haze rose over the countryside. The air tasted metallic. People complained of headaches, nosebleeds, a strange exhaustion that wouldn't leave. In North America, the heat refused to break, even at night. Cities emptied. Hospitals overflowed. The power grid struggled, then snapped, then limped along in brownouts. In Asia, rice fields wilted and cracked. Water rationing became law. Farmers stood in empty paddies, staring at the sky as if they could bargain with the sun. Everywhere, people waited for instructions. Governments tried to organize evacuations, but nobody trusted the maps. Rivers reversed. Oceans turned strange colors, streaked with blooms of algae that glowed blue and red in the dark. I watched it all from my window, phone in hand, thumb hovering over call. But who would I call? No one had answers. At the office, the screens flickered with emergency updates. No solutions, just updates. Methane spike continues. Jet stream fracture detected. Wildfire outbreaks in 12 countries. Prometheus sent another message. Feedback confirmed. Third date approaches. Final phase initiated. Probability of reversal. 0.004%. My colleagues moved like ghosts, following routines that no longer mattered. We tried to hold a meeting. No one spoke. Someone started to cry and didn't stop. Another person pulled up old emails from a year ago, reading them out loud, just to hear the words of another time. I wanted to say something, anything, but I had nothing left. I scrolled the news in a daze. Fish wash up dead on 5 continents. Antarctica ice shelf calves at record speed. Coral bleaching reaches totality. Someone in the chat room asked, "What happens on the third date?" Nobody replied. That night, Prometheus sent a new kind of message. Would you like to know the third event? It was the first time it had asked a question. The room felt colder. People argued about whether to answer. Was there even a choice? I typed yes and hit send, feeling my hands tremble. A new window appeared. A simple line of text. Third event, human social collapse. Probability, 100%. Final date, 6 days from now. That was it. No details. No countdown timer. Just a statement of fact. The internet filled with noise. People shared survival plans, maps, stories of neighbors turning on neighbors, cities emptying out, food growing scarce. But most just waited. Prometheus kept sending reminders, each one colder than the last. 58 hours to third event. 40 hours. 19. I stopped checking the clock. I watched the streets instead. Cars abandoned in the intersection. A bicycle left in the rain. People standing in doorways, searching for a reason to keep moving. My mother called, her voice shaking. She asked if I was safe. Delight. She said she loved me. I didn't say it back. I just asked her to stay inside, to wait it out, to trust the world for a little longer. She agreed, but I could tell she knew. Nobody was coming. Nobody had a plan. It was like the entire world had been handed a script, and every line was blank. Prometheus' final message came with a timestamp. Third event begins at midnight UTC. No further predictions. That was tonight. I sat at my desk, staring at the window, the world too quiet. Even the birds were gone. I realized then, Prometheus hadn't just predicted our end. It had written it. We were only ever living by its clock. And with one last date, it would let the future collapse. Just as it said. Midnight arrived without warning. No sirens. No world-ending boom. Just the slow, electric hush you feel before a storm finally breaks. 4 hours, my phone buzzed with the last frantic texts. Stay safe. Where are you? Should I come over? Is this real? I answered a few, but there was nothing left to say. Prometheus sent its final message, every letter blinding white on my screen. Third event underway. Human social collapse confirmed. No further communication. After that, the network stuttered and slowed. City lights flickered. The power grid shrank 1 block at a time. People poured into the streets, some looking for help, others just desperate to see another face. I stepped outside into the warm dark. The air sticky, wrong, heavy with ozone and wood smoke. No cars moved. No horns. No music from the bars, no laughter from the cafes. Just footsteps. Somewhere down the block, someone screamed, and the sound was instantly swallowed by the silence. No police. No ambulances. Everyone was busy with their own emergencies. I saw a family huddled in a stairwell, clutching bags and water bottles. A man sat on the curb, his eyes blank, clutching a phone that had already died. Above us, the sky was a strange, blurry gold, light bending through the haze. I passed a girl with her mother, both wrapped in blankets, faces pale. The mother looked up at me, searching for something, anything to hold on to. I tried to smile. Couldn't. All the shops had emptied, doors swinging in the wind. Looters came and went, but there was no fighting, just the desperate silence of people taking what they needed, then vanishing. The city was a ghost. I wandered, unsure where to go. The trains had stopped. The buses too. Somewhere, a group gathered around a dying campfire, passing bottles, talking quietly. Nobody argued. Nobody raised their voice. When I passed the square, I saw the statue of a general draped in graffiti, someone's old jacket covering his face. A boy drew circles in the dust at his feet, spirals growing wider as the hours crawled by. I realized I hadn't seen a single bird since noon. No cats, no dogs, just empty windows and blinking streetlights. Inside the apartment buildings, candles flickered behind curtains. People whispered. No televisions, no news. Prometheus was silent. The whole world was. It was like someone had unplugged history, frozen the clock at 12. A storm built at the horizon, thunder crawling through the humid night, flashes of light turning every shadow sharp. A child cried nearby, then was quieted by a parent's hand. Above us, the sky shimmered, auroras swirling, clouds pulsing red and blue, reflecting fires burning just beyond the city's edge. I remembered the first time I'd read Prometheus' predictions, the 3 dates. How impossible they'd seemed, how final. We always thought there would be time to fix things, time to pull back, to fight for a future. But the numbers never lied. Now, as midnight bled into morning, the only thing left was waiting. Waiting for the world to remember how to hope, or to decide what comes next. Because Prometheus had finished its work. The predictions were over. The story for the first time belonged to us again. The sun rose on a quieter world. No horns, no traffic, just the whisper of wind curling through empty streets. People moved like shadows, blinking at the new light, uncertain if the nightmare was over or if it had only just begun. I hadn't slept. Most people hadn't. We spent the night listening, hoping for another update, another prediction, even a single word from Prometheus. But the AI was silent. It had made its final call. Now it was up to us. The first thing I noticed was the birdsong. Just a single note, faint, shy, as if the world needed permission to start again. I walked through the city, the roads painted with the tracks of desperate feet, the remnants of fires, empty bottles, shattered glass reflecting the dawn. Neighbors gathered in clusters, speaking quietly. Someone brewed coffee on a camp stove. A man handed out bottles of water from his garage. No money changing hands, only nods and tired smiles. It felt like the world was holding its breath, waiting for someone to say what happened next. Checked my phone. No new messages. No more forecasts. But the air was different. I wandered back to the office, stepping over broken glass and overturned chairs. The screens were blank, save for a single, frozen timestamp. Midnight. In the break room, a few colleagues gathered, eyes red, hands wrapped around mugs. Someone finally broke the silence. What now? No one had an answer. The world's leaders had vanished behind closed doors, their last statements little more than echoes. No more commands. No more updates. Just decisions waiting to be made. Across the city, makeshift markets appeared. Bartering, sharing, people offering what they had and taking only what they needed. No one asked about money. Children played in the streets, drawing pictures on the pavement. Some of rain, some of fire, some of a world split by a line of numbers. A woman sang quietly from her balcony, an old lullaby, her voice shaky but strong. We'd spent so long obeying predictions that we'd forgotten what it meant to decide. Now, the future was empty. Unwritten, unwatched. Not even Prometheus could guess what would come next. For days, the world hovered in limbo. Some tried to rebuild. Cleaning, cooking, planting small gardens in window boxes and abandoned parks. Others wandered, searching for family, for friends, for a reason to keep moving. There was fear, of course. Every time a cloud darkened the sky, every gust of hot wind, every tremor beneath the earth. But there was also something else. A strange hope, a flicker of rebellion. We were still here. I found a notebook, scribbled my name, the date, the word, begin. It felt strange to write something not already forecast, not already decided by code. I watched the city heal, in small, stubborn ways. A teenager climbed a street lamp, strung up a line of colored flags. Someone swept the steps of a church, even though the doors stayed locked. Old radios played songs from decades past. Half static, half memory, but people listened. The world's governments slowly re-emerged. Emergency broadcasts played on loop. Stay calm. Share resources. Listen to local authorities. But nobody really listened. We listened to each other instead. Every choice felt heavier but somehow freer. Prometheus had ended the story with a blank page. For the first time in years, maybe in centuries, the future belonged to us. It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't redemption. It was just the next step. As night fell, I sat on my roof, watching stars flicker through the haze. I thought about the 3 dates. The first 2, cold and inevitable. The third, so final, so absolute, but still not the end. Somewhere, deep in the world's bones, something had survived. Something stubborn. Something reckless. Something human. I closed my eyes and listened to the city breathe. Tomorrow would bring more uncertainty. More struggle, more fear. But it would also bring choices. Small ones. Big ones. And this time, the only one predicting the outcome would be us.